Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Green White Checker TV for tonight's coverage of Area 51's Thursday Gen 4 Series. This week we roll into Iowa Raceway. We've got 120 laps of short track action on deck for you in the 7/8 mile oval here. Definitely going to be a fun race to see. It's a kind of a unique short track. Obviously, it's definitely one of the bigger ones, being at 7/8 mile. Usually I guess the pseudo cutoff about 1 mile or so. So it's a bigger track, but it kind of runs like Richmond does. Although it definitely has some unique lanes. You'll see a lot of guys using the second and third lanes and trying to move up higher as the sun is starting to set here tonight in Sim, and we'll have lots of action throughout the night. So 120 laps sounds like it's going to be a one-stopper for fuel. Got about 70 laps or so in the tank, so we'll see how drivers play with that fuel strategy throughout the night. But for now, they're still getting their final laps of practice in before they get into our qualifying session and try to see what they can do to put their car on the pole for the evening. Be a little bit of, I guess maybe not a quieter night was what I was going to say, but maybe just a night you'll hear pretty much just me talking. Boomer Logan here. We got just me in the booth tonight, so looking forward to calling this action for you guys. And I know a lot of you race fans are out there already joining this stream and the broadcast, and we appreciate your loyal and continued support throughout every week here and every season at Area 51. So thank you for stopping by, and I know a lot of drivers like to rewatch after the fact as well. So I want to wish you guys all good luck, as looks like we are about to roll off for the qualifying session for tonight. So we'll see. Definitely some warmer weather, but it's definitely going to cool off as it gets through the evening. So we'll have to pay attention to how these drivers are handling that change as the sun's kind of starting to set there. You can see just off of turn 4 there, it'll be sun going down in just a moment. So it'll be definitely a beautiful sky to start this race. It's definitely going to be a little different than how they practice, though. As the track starts to cool off, you can see that track temperature right now is 103 degrees Fahrenheit, where the weather, under the weather, the air temperature is only 77 degrees Fahrenheit. So definitely going to cool off, going to grip up a little bit, probably tighten up a little bit more, not be as hot and slick. So definitely something to pay attention to as the car settles into what I believe should be some long green flag runs here, or maybe not. Maybe we'll see some chaos here tonight, but either way, it should be a good time, and I'm always looking forward to seeing what kind of action we can have on the track. So we'll see if we can grab, or another driver can grab a win this season. So far, we've had the 05 of Brian Wang taking victory at Michigan International Speedway, and last week on the broadcast you saw Kevin Freese taking home the victory at the Tricky Triangle. So three fairly unique racetracks to start this season out. Obviously Pocono being one of the most unique ovals, I would think, in just about any form of oval style racing. But we've got the 2 mile of Michigan that we started out at, and now we're on to, like we said, our first short track of the season. And we'll see. Who knows? Maybe a few more yellows than we've seen in other races. Got a little bit of a thinner field here tonight, but definitely going to be some action. A lot of heavy hitters still here this week. Again, trying to see what they could do right now to put down the best qualifying time. Right now, Sebastian Marin at the top of the leaderboard with a 23:53, but still about 2.5 minutes left in qualifying. And we'll see if those drivers, any of the other drivers, can try and best that time. Sebastian's been trying to grab a win so far this season, see if he could do it from the pole. If he can grab the pole, I know looks like Brian Wang, Ryan Kelly, Kevin Freese have not yet set a qualifying time, as well as Carl Henderson, Chris Bassini, James Ledford, and Guile Brooks. So definitely some big names still on the board to try and put up a fast qualifying lap. Again, with the sun setting, so we'll see in a moment if anyone can best that time from that number 23 machine. No update from points just yet, but we'll try to have that on the broadcast, I think, for next week. That way we could show you where we are at, but I can at least, I'll pull it up here on my end and take you through it. Obviously, through 3 events, Brian Wang has been at the front of the field for all of it for the most part. He's had 2 top 5s already, 1 win, and he is going to be in a pretty good shape. So I'm forgetting there. We also had that race at Charlotte in between Pocono and Michigan, second race of the season. So we've had a 2 mile, a 1.5 mile, the Tricky Triangle, Pocono, and now the first short track of the season. Brian Wang, Ryan Kelly, and Kevin Freese leading the way in the points right now. All separated by about 30 points between Brian in first and Kevin in third. And they've got each 2 top 5s to themselves on the season. Going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Obviously, we've got our playoffs here in the series. After the first 8 weeks, we'll have that playoff or championship reset, and I believe we'll have either 8 or 12 drivers. I can't quite remember, but we'll have a pretty solid field to take us through through the 4 final races to settle a championship here on Thursday nights. Looks like we are just finishing qualifying here. The checkered flag has flown for that. And drivers are going to start taking to the grid. So we'll get you down there and get a look as drivers start to make their way onto the grid. Here we go. See if we can find you a view there of our drivers as they get in their cars and populate on the screen. So we'll pull up the qualifying results here. Looks like Sebastian Marin was able to hold on to that top spot. Austin Call in that number 64 machine, he's going to take over the outside pole, so it's the 23 and the 64 on the front row. Just behind them in row number 2, 2 winners on the season so far, Kevin Freese and Ryan Kelly. Pretty solid second row there in the 25 and that 13 machine as well. Brandon Bernhardt in the top 5 for qualifying, with Joshua Hanner of Closed Circuit Racing to his outside in that number 2 machine. Maxwell Caldwell in the field after taking off last week, and he's got Josh Laston to his outside in the 8th spot in that number 09 machine. Nate Warren with the Ryan Newman throwback in the number 99 car is going to start 9th tonight, with James Ledford, first driver, electing not to take a qualifying time this evening, so he'll start at the tail end of the top 10. We also have a couple more drivers here. Guy Al Brooks and Chris Bassini, again, electing not to take a qualifying time there. Rest of the field will be settled by I rating on ovals. And then we got Carl Henderson and Brian Wang in row number 7 to round out this 14-car field for the evening. Pace car is going to get underway here. Lead them off of pit road. And in just moments, we'll be throwing the green flag. Gonna have to see how they settle in here early. Obviously, we've known some of the drivers at the front of this field have been better at saving tires early versus on the long run. Obviously, last week at Pocono, we saw Ryan Kelly a little bit better on that long run, but Kevin Freese better on the short run there, and Kevin grabbing that win last week just feet ahead of that number 13 machine. So we'll see how that long run and short run pace handles for the evening, as we're actually going to take, looks like, one more lap before we go green. So parade them around the front stretch here for you fans to see. All these beautiful paint schemes before they get dirty, greasy, and maybe a little bit torn up here tonight, as we got 120 laps of action at Iowa ready for you. Beautiful shot of our drivers there with the sun setting in the background. And we should be ready to take the green flag this time by and start the race. For some reason, we got a lap count of 2 right now, so we'll have to check in and see if there's maybe an error in the session. As the pace car continues to lead the field, and now he ducks away, and the restart will be on the race leader of Sebastian Marin. Green flag is in the air at Iowa Speedway. We are underway for 120 laps under the lights, short track action on Thursday night. Sebastian Marin in that number 23 machine gets a clean breakaway from Austin Call in that 64, who now has a handful of that number 25 machine on the inside as the 23 way wide in corner number 3 and 4, and he pulls away by a couple car lengths. The 48 machine is going to try, the 25 machine is going to try to do the same underneath Austin Call in that beautiful number 64 tied right, and he's going to get clear down through the back stretch. Very easy to burn the tires off at this racetrack. You have to be very patient the way these corners are shaped before you get back onto the throttle in and out of the corners, especially off of the corners, but that's where you can make up a lot of time off of turns 2 and 4 if you can put that power down without spinning the tires or sliding the car on longer runs throughout the night. So we'll see, like we said, definitely going to be a difference in some of the short run versus the long run pace. Right now, Sebastian Marin's running what is now the fastest lap of the race, a 23:52, which is, I believe, even faster than his qualifying time to grab that pole. So he has led every lap so far from that top spot, and Sebastian Marin is pulling away by about a half second over Kevin Freese. Now back to third place, or up to third place, I should say, is the number 13 machine of Ryan Kelly. About a half second between all of our front runners, or maybe call it 0.4 of a second between our 3 front runners, and then most of the field settling in there as Brian Wang is making moves early. You can see him diving down to the bottom there on the inside of turn 1. He is already inside the number 94 of Maxwell Caldwell, not electing to take a qualifying time as that number 05 machine on the night, and he is already up to 6th place, so up 8 spots early on, and he's working on another as now he is outside of the number 81 machine of Brandon Bernhardt. Knocking on the door, he's into the top 5, up 9 spots now on the night. The only driver still in the starting position, or their starting position, is Sebastian Marin, leading every lap of the 6 laps completed so far, but Kevin Freese is slowly starting to reel him in. He's only 0.3 of a second back, and Ryan Kelly is 0.3 of a second behind the 25 machine in third there, so definitely not pulling away early on, but there's still a lot of laps here, so you'd maybe expect to see Sebastian Marin try to keep them at bay but not push too hard, and sometimes that's maybe the catbird seat for that 25 and 13 machine to really dictate more of the pace to try and control how fast Sebastian feels like he needs to run based on how fast Kevin and Ryan Kelly are running here early on. Austin Call now in the 64 machine started second, back to 4th already. Still hanging in there strong as he's got a mirror full of that 05 machine of Brian Wang, who is trying to march through the field as much as he can. Pretty much strung out single file through most of the field. This is the closest battle on action, except for, let's see, maybe Joshua Hanner here now inside the number 94 machine in that 2 Kodak throwback scheme. A lot of really cool schemes coming from this closed circuit racing group. We got the Steve Park scheme for Chris Cassini, and another, I believe that's still a, I can't remember if it's it looks like either, I'm assuming that's a Rusty Wallace scheme, excuse me, there with that 2 Kodak car. Still got Miller Lite on the hood there as well, but beautiful old school Penske Dodge in the field. And while we're bringing up some of those throwback schemes, their other teammate here, number 28 of Carl Henderson, he's our broadcaster for the Sunday night series, so it's cool to see him in the car. And trying to do his bit as helping the league out from a different angle, trying to race his way into Thursday nights. And love to see that old Texaco Javelin throwback scheme on that car as well. Back up at the front, though, it's the pair of Jimmy Johnson throwbacks. Sebastian Marin in that number 23 and Kevin Freese in the 25, still continuing to lead this pack. Pretty quiet so far, but we got a couple guys trying the outside lane there. Looks like Brian Wang's trying a different line throughout turns 3 and 4, trying to see if he can grab a little more traction and maybe a good run down the front stretch, down the back stretch. Definitely a guy that's not afraid to try something and see what will and will not work, especially early on, as the 81 machine of Brandon Bernhardt looks like he's going to move up to try that as well. But this time by, we've actually got the 05 crossing over to get that good run down the backstretch. He's going to try and get to the inside of the 64 machine. Not quite able to get back to the throttle soon enough, though. He is going to get pulled by the 64 machine as Austin Call holds on to that 4th spot. That beautiful Ricky Craven-esque Tide Ride throwback. Little Pontiac. Love to see the creativity, as we mention every week, in some of these drivers and what they can do as far as putting different decals and different all the different car manufacturer logos and headlights and grills and everything to make these cars look like something different. Obviously, the scan of these cars is actually a 2010s or 2010s era Junior Motorsports Nationwide Series car, but they're modeled after what is really now considered more of an ARCA Series car, and that's what this car actually runs as in the sim. But a couple weeks ago, as we've mentioned before, iRacing threw us a curveball and released this car with, I believe it was 750 horsepower, kind of a throwback to the old early 2000s NASCAR days. So that's why you see this car now in the sim with us, and a lot of these drivers throwing it back to some really cool paint schemes from that era. Obviously, Ryan Kelly looks like he's got always got that Hot Hues DuPont scheme. I believe that's a Jeff Gordon throwback. So we've got a caution on the speedway here. Have to see what happened. Looks like might have been Brandon Bernhardt potentially involved. Potentially James Lefford, not sure, but we'll take a look here. See if we can get you a good replay of that. Pull up the camera here. And we'll see what happened, because was not expecting to see this early on. And oh, looks like 81 car got a little bit of help there. We'll see. Let's see if we can dial it back just a little bit to the moment of caution. And it looks like both the 94 and the 81 cars were both very loose coming off of the corner. Let's rewind that just a little bit here and see if we can see how they track up and off of the corner here, and maybe try and even grab a view off the nose of this number 94 machine of Maxwell Caldwell here. Grab that roof cam here, play some slow motion for you. See the 05 a little bit loose off the corner up ahead, but the 81 machine is clear of the 94. He's going to move up. 94 looks like he might have actually just been trying to turn down or just trying to give a shove to the 81. Not entirely sure, but he gives a lot of bumper there to the back of that 81 machine, and unfortunately for Brandon, that's going to turn him into the infield there and go for a wild ride. He's going to have to pit for tires for sure after sliding those. Looks like for the most part able to regain that and not cause any further damage for the 81 machine. So we'll see how this plays out here as we have pit stops here ongoing that will take you back to all right, from the lead. So Kevin Freese is going to, looks like he's actually going to be the first car into pit lane. The 13 also makes it down. The 05, the 64. Josh Laston, Joshua Haner, Guy Brooks, Brandon Bernhardt, Carl Henderson, James Ledford among some of the names coming down pit road. So that's going to leave Sebastian Marin, Maxwell Caldwell, and Ryan Kelly staying out. And we'll see how they shake out as they come out of the pits here. Well, actually, the 94 machine getting off of pit road first. So looks like actually with that, the only one who did not pit was Sebastian Marin that first time by. So on a bit of a split strategy as Maxwell Caldwell comes out second, Ryan Kelly comes out third, and Kevin Freese comes out fourth. Jumping back live here, so it looks like it's pretty lonely up front for the number 23 machine. He's going to be the only driver who did not take tires this time by. We'll see how that plays out if we are going to have any more yellows tonight. But one of the drivers involved in that most recent yellow, he's going to now be in the outside lane there on the restart on the front row. Maxwell Caldwell only taking, looks like 2 tires or potentially only fuel based on the pit time there. Just about everyone else taking 4 tires and fuel, and it looks like Brian Wang also might have just topped off on fuel only there. He pit twice, though. He came down the first time and then pit again, so who knows, maybe he's got a different strategy in mind as far as what he needs for fuel, but grabbed about 5 extra seconds of fuel there in his pit box that second time he came down. So really the only split in this strategy is going to be what the number 23 of Sebastian Marin is doing here, and we'll see if this works out for him. Definitely hard when you are the only one who comes down pit road. Not really a ton that you can do there, unfortunately, and he'll be hoping to hang on with those old tires as we're going to get back to green after our first caution here tonight. Again, control car will be the number 23 as he gets up through the gears through the Geico restart zone. We are back underway, green flag. Working on lap number 23 here at Iowa Speedway. I think it's time for a little crank it up. How about you? Oh, plenty of action on the track there as you see a gaggle of cars coming and sliding through the front stretch and in the grass there. Big wreck on that restart. Let's see where it all started. Back in towards the mid-pack, looks like. Most of the drivers tonight involved there. So we can see there looks like the number 64 machine slides up in front of the 94 and gets turned. Unfortunately, he's going to make contact with the number 2 machine. The 2 and the 09 are going to check up, and looks like just about everybody else trying to avoid what they can of the damage that they see in front of them. The 05 of Brian Wang sliding as hard as he can, but still making contact with the 64, unfortunately. And then the 99 looks like he's going to come through and just maybe barely clip the 09. Hard to tell, but looks like Gael Brooks and Brandon Bernhardt and maybe Carl Henderson, some of the only 2 drivers to get through that without sliding through the grass too bad. So that will be the second caution of the night coming very early on. See if we can take another ride on the nose of the 94 machine and see what happened this time, as we'll bring it back to the moment of caution once again. Oh, here we go. Yeah, just a little bit too much there, getting off the corner there, maybe for the 94, trying to see what he can do to march through the field. Thankfully, most of these drivers are going to be able to take a fast repair, though I think a lot of these drivers are going to try and elect to save that, I would think, for later in the race. So we actually see Josh Laston, Joshua Hanner, Brian Wang, Austin Call, Chris Bassini all taking over 40 seconds in their pit stalls. So trying to repair what damage they may have before they have to take that fast repair on the evening. With that quick caution, though, we'll take a second to step away, and we'll be right back for the restart. Gen 4 Series. This week we roll into Iowa Raceway. We've got 120 laps. Alright, we will see the pace car dip down back onto pit road. Sebastian Marin is going to try and get this thing going once again as we head into turn number 1 for the second restart of the race. 25 and the 13 battling side by side behind. Oh, we got another wreck, the 48 into the wall. Yellow flag is out once again. Quick succession of 3 quick yellows. Let's see if we can take it back to what happened to the 48 machine there, as it looks like James Ledford made heavy contact into the outside wall. See if we can see here. The 48 machine on that inside lane was the driver that went around into the outside wall. Getting back to the gas a little early, little loose. And it looks like he may have just gotten back to the gas too hard, too early. Starts sliding sideways. And we'll see here. Brian Wang trying to do all he can to stay off of him. Don't think he actually made contact with the 05. Just gets loose and all by himself, unfortunately, makes big contact. You see, tears the whole front clip off the front of that race car. Safety crew is going to have to go out there and pick that up. And wow, evasive maneuvers for the number 1 of Chris Piscini there, as he's just trying to hold on. He's been trying to repair a lot of damage there on pit road. Looks like so is Brian Wang and Austin Call. And now James Ledford as well there on pit road. This time by trying to see what they can do to make repairs to those machines. We'll jump back live there. Looks like the 48 of James Ledford is going to elect to take his fast repair, so he'll be back out on the track fairly easily. We've got the number 64 machine of Austin Call waiting in the pits to try and repair some damage, as well as Brian Wang and Chris Piscini, who you see leaving their pit stalls now. Austin in a little bit of a better pit stall to try and stay on the track a little bit longer as they wait for the pace car to roll around. Remember, you just have to beat the pace car off of pit road as you exit, and as long as you are ahead of that before they get, or ahead of the pace car before the pace car gets to the exit of pit lane, you won't go a lap down. And looks like Austin Call is going to make his way to the tail end of the field, as we're going to rack him and stack him and see what we can do to get this race back going again. Like we mentioned, 3 very quick cautions after the first incident between Maxwell Caldwell and the 81 machine of Brandon Bernhardt. We saw more action between Maxwell and the 64 of Austin Call. This time it was the 48 of James Ledford getting a little loose, picking up that throttle a little early, it looks like, unfortunately, and overcorrecting. And that was, I mean, big hit. Obviously, here in the sim world, you don't feel those hits, but definitely a big hit for that 48 machine. Enough for him to have enough damage, probably engine damage, I would assume, too, to make him need to take that fast repair. And more drivers here are going to take their time to get down pit road and try to make their repairs. Obviously, Chris Piscini getting into most of the action there on that second caution, really with nowhere to go, and the checkup. Brian Wang staying out on track. Actually, there, I apologize, but looks like, yeah, no, it's just my mistaken. It was just Chris coming in this time by. So whatever repairs Brian and Austin got in, I think that would be enough for them for the evening. And no, I take it back. Maybe not some repairs, but 6.2 seconds of maybe a splash and go of fuel, or maybe Chris did take his fast repair. Not entirely sure there, but he'll join us at the tail end of the field. But at the front of the field, it is still all the number 23 car of Sebastian Marin River. He is on a split strategy still from these leaders. We have not really gotten back going yet, and he will be on about 20 lap older tires than pretty much everybody around him, as the pace car is going to duck off onto pit road, and we are going to try and get back to green. We'll keep an eye on the action here after this one as we get into turn number 1 and 2. The 23 machine going to have a lot of mirror full of that 25 machine teammate Kevin Freese with those fresh tires, as the 23 machine goes all the way up to the wall that time by, and 25 machine is going to stick his nose in on the inside, and 23 is actually sticking in there pretty well for 20 lap old tires, which I mean really isn't a ton, I guess, on a short track. I mean, it can be, 20 laps can be definitely a bit of a difference as far as having some short run pace. You kind of knock the wear off, a little bit of wear off. You're not going to run a super fast qualifying time, but maybe, who knows, maybe he got the tires cool enough there on that those couple cautions to try and settle the tires down and get a little bit more grip back in them. But so far, Sebastian Marin is still taking or leading the pace of this race over teammates Kevin Freese. And we have Ryan Kelly in the top 3 as well, with Maxwell Caldwell and Gael Brooks in the top 5. Gael Brooks up 6 spots from his, I think it was actually a non-qualifying position there, starting in 11th. Carl Henderson also electing not to qualify. He's up 7 spots just on the outside of the top 5 in 6th there in that 28 Texaco Havoline machine. Behind him, one of the drivers in our first caution is Brandon Bernhardt here. He's down 2 spots, and see a little bit of contact there with the wall almost with Joshua Hanner. Was a little high off the corner, but seems to be doing okay now as the 05 machine is trying to work his way around the inside of the 09 of Josh Laston. Brian Wang trying to make his way back up through the field after contact in that second caution. Actually, taking a look back there, we apologize we missed it, but we actually had a change for the lead there. Kevin Freese has made his way around teammate Sebastian Marin. That 25 machine now promotes himself to the lead, leading his first laps of the race after, I believe, there have been 36 or 37 led by Sebastian Marin. Kevin's going to see what he can do to cement his name as maybe the lap leader, or the most laps led for the evening. Try and gain some bonus points in the championship here. We got a car, looks like maybe a car up high up in the wall there, or just in the high lane, but that's Maxwell Caldwell. A little bit slow off the corner now. Wasn't sure if he was just high or just it got up in the wall there, but it looked like he dropped a spot there to, or no, maybe he's, apologies, he's actually looks like he's moving back up through the field, I believe, here, as he gets around, this time cleanly, the 81 machine of Brandon Bernhardt. Carl Henderson will be the next car he sets his sights on as he tries to make his way back up through the field in that unmarked, unsponsored number 94 machine. Kevin Freese now starting to check out a little bit here, as he's now got about 0.8 of a second, almost 0.9 of a second now, entering the corner there over teammates Sebastian Marin, and Ryan Kelly now all over the back bumper of the number 23 machine of Sebastian Marin. Trying to see what he can do to make his pass on the number 23 to get towards the front of this pack. He's going to get alongside him on the inside. Not enough, as the 23 has that momentum on the high lane. 13 is going to have to settle in for third at the moment. About a third of the way through this one is, Sebastian Marin makes some contact with the wall there, going really wide. Still able to get the car turned, though. Maybe helped it turn a little bit more with that contact on the right side. A good run down the front straightaway and back around the 13 of Ryan Kelly as Sebastian's battling hard on 20 lap older tires than the rest of the field right now. We've settled in here a little bit. We'll take a moment here. Let's go through the field and update you on where all of our drivers are at. So Kevin Freese at the front here, starting in P3. He is up to first right now in that Jimmy Johnson throwback, that number 25 machine. We mentioned Sebastian Marin still holding strong onto that second spot as you see him way high up the racetrack, but able to get a huge run down the front straightaway and the back straightaway as he is trying to battle on those older tires. Really the only split pit strategy that we have right now to keep an eye on. He's down one spot after qualifying on the pole tonight. Ryan Kelly is up one spot, though, into the podium placings in that number 13 machine. Again, race winner from 2 weeks ago at Charlotte. He's going to try and see what he can do to get around the number 23 machine as he continues to work on him. But in fourth place, it's Gael Brooks in the number 71 DeWalt machine. Beautiful throwback to the Matt Kenseth days, or at least a nod to Matt Kenseth. Big Matt Kenseth fan in that number 71 machine for Gael Brooks. So cool to see that Ford Fusion on the track. And he's up 7 spots on the evening. He's tied for our hardest charger so far, having a pretty solid run here in the top 5, and now promoting himself actually to the top 5 as well as the number 94 machine of Maxwell Caldwell. He's going to get a little loose there on the outside lane. The 28 machine of Carl Henderson's going to keep him honest, as Carl's going to try and keep his spot. He was in the top 5 here. See if the 94 can get a run down the straightaway, and the 28 is going to clear. So Carl Henderson, promote him to the top 5 at the moment. And our broadcaster for Sunday nights in that number 28 Haviland machine here on Thursday nights. One of our other talents in the broadcast booth from the past as well that we got to mention, Maxwell Caldwell was actually the one throwing, or calling the action, I should say, here on Thursday nights last season in our Super Speedway series on Thursday nights. So Maxwell taking a step out of the booth and into the race car. So he's another one of our broadcasters here at Area 51 getting some action in the car. And now that I think about it, we've actually got Gael, Carl, and Maxwell 4, 5, and 6 back to back on the track. So some of our other fellow broadcasters in the race tonight. Good to see those guys having a pretty solid night, as Carl up 8 spots now is our highest climber. But keeping on through the field, we've got Brandon Bernhardt of Endeavor Racing in that number 81 machine. He is currently running in the 7th machine after qualifying 5th, down 2 spots on the evening. Caught up in a little bit of action, but he's rolling strong again as got some fresh tires and is continuing to make his way through the field, as now he's got a handful with Joshua Hanner on the inside there. Joshua also down 2 spots at the moment as he's going to try and make that spot stick on the inside of that 81 of Brandon Bernhardt. Getting that number 2 throwback Penske Dodge. I believe that's Rusty Wallace, but it's been a while since I've seen that scheme, so I'd have to confirm that for sure. But Joshua's got a teammate in Josh Laston right behind him, the 09 in the 09 or in the 9th starting spot there for Josh Laston in the field. Always a very vibrant and easy to find car, so spotters having an easy time there recognizing that 09 machine on this short track this evening. Another unique paint scheme is Brian Wang there in the number 10th position in that 05. I believe he had a little bit of, looks like he may still have a little bit of damage there. He's marred back in the back of the pack after definitely having some great moves early on, rolling up through the field and getting caught in, I believe, that second caution there. We had that big pile up, unfortunately, for Brian Wang. So he is still up 4 spots, but seems like he's a little bit off of the pace that he had earlier on in this race. And Chris Passini, we also mentioned he having a lot of damage from that second crash as well. Not able to check up in time, unfortunately. Not really much of his own doing, but that Steve Park throwback scheme in that number 1 still hanging in there strong, just outside of the top 10 right now. Got James Ledford on the field. He was part of our 3rd caution, but he's back out on track running in the 12th position. And we got Nate Warren in the number 99 machine back here in the Ryan Newman Alltel throwback scheme. Good looking car there for Nate Warren as he continues to navigate around Iowa Speedway here tonight from the 13th position. And we had a little bit of an unscheduled pit stop here for Austin Call, as he is, it looks like not sure if he was off the pace or what, but came down pit road, got 4 fresh tires, and he is back out on track. He will be the first car 1 lap down, the only car 1 lap down as well. See if he can get another caution to make his way back onto the lead lap. And you saw there in the background, Kevin Freese, our leader, still the leader, not too far off of that number 64 machine of Austin Call, but thankfully those fresher tires for the number 64 machine are going to help him out quite a bit, as Austin's about 4/10 faster than our leaders at the moment. And he should be able to pull away and maintain that status as the lucky dog car, first car 1 lap down. So quick succession of 3 very fast yellows, almost back-to-back-to-back laps. And now we've settled into a bit of a longer run here. Most of our drivers pitting last on lap 31, so that was just before the restart. That was Chris Piscini, came down the second lap of that caution. So we've had just under 30 laps here of green flag action. We'll have to pay attention because Sebastian Marin still has yet to make his first pit stop. He's still hanging on to that 3rd position, just outside those podium placings, as he is, again, not pitted yet so far tonight. So we're hearing that it's about 70 laps on. He'll probably stretched it a little more, maybe 10 more laps or so with that caution, or with those 3 cautions, I should say, that we've had so far. But definitely be expecting Sebastian Marin to have to come down at least 20 laps before the rest of the field, though the pit window is open to go the rest of the way. So we'll see if anybody tries to take that strategy. That would be probably a big undercut for drivers to start coming in at the halfway mark of this race. But who knows, maybe actually a take it back. That could have been what Austin Call was doing there. So, you realize something right in the moment, that's probably exactly what Austin Call was doing. He's going to try and get his final service early, it seems like, and see what he can do to try and slice his way back up through the field on fresh tires. Definitely going to have the longest run to finish this race out for Austin, as he's going to catch up back to the pack, but he's about 30 seconds now behind our last car on the lead lap of Nate Warren. So he's got quite a bit of ground to cover, as you see. He's got to come back around and unlap himself and then continue to make his way back through the field. But we'll keep an eye on that, see how it goes for him, as he's still about 0.3 of a second faster than our leaders, probably trying to save a little bit, being that first car coming to pit road. And we'll keep an eye on that, as that's really, I guess, the 3rd strategy that we've got here. Most of these drivers pitting at lap 19 throughout the field for during the first yellow, actually, excuse me. And Kevin Freese, with those fresher tires, is now checking out quite a bit, as he has a 2-second lead over second place Ryan Kelly. And Ryan Kelly now finally able getting around the 23 machine of Sebastian Marin. So Ryan Kelly is going to promote himself to that 2nd spot, and Kyle Brooks and Carl Henderson continue to battle inside the top 5 as your highest climbers for the evening. Gael up 7 so far from his elected to not take a qualifying, but his non-qualifying starting position of 11th. Carl Henderson up 8 spots from his non-qualifying starting position of 13th as well. Definitely a little bit of a loose condition there for most of these drivers. You can see them working really hard off of turns 2 and turns 4. Lot of sideways action in the rear of these cars. Very fairly light stock cars for compared to some of the newer style series of cars. And a lot of horsepower here with, I believe, it's either 750 or 850 horsepower behind the wheel of those cars. So a lot of sliding, and I know this style of car in iRacing, you can really get the car sideways quite a ways before you have to back it down or catch that slide, but definitely a lot of opportunities to let the car kind of hang out a little bit. Obviously, you're going to burn up your right rear tire a little bit more. You're kind of driving it off of that right rear a little bit more than maybe some of the more recent styles of NASCAR Cup cars where they're more aero dependent and more tight and maybe drive it off a little bit more of the right front. But for now, we get to enjoy these drivers and what they do in the Gen 4 series on Thursday nights, and thankful to Area 51 and the admins for making this change so we can see the action of these cars. As we're going to have another driver on pit road this time by, it's going to be Ryan Kelly making his, should be final service of the night. Number 13 machine after starting 4th. He's going to try the undercut as well. Not quite as severe of an undercut as Austin Call, but we'll have to wait and see where he pulls out in front of Austin. Obviously, Austin's had quite a few more laps on fresher tires there, as he's going to get around him that time. He's still 1 lap down to the 13 of Ryan Kelly, and looks like Brian Wang actually going to come in this time as well. So this is definitely a bit of a treacherous pit entry here to off of turn number 4. So we're going to have to see if those drivers can keep it quiet, keep it wound down as they get into pit road and under pit road speed to make their service. And looks like Kevin Freese is going to answer that call 2 laps later than Ryan Kelly, a lap later than Brian Wang. He's going to come down this time by. And it looks like Ryan Kelly just barely ahead of Austin Call as they come back out on track. So that'll promote Ryan Kelly to 13th. He'll be now the first car 1 lap down as he passes Brian Wang on pit exit. Kevin Freese getting his service this time by. That'll give the lead back to the number 23 machine of Sebastian Marin, who has not made his pit stop yet. Chris Piscini in the number 1 machine is in this time by. Promote the number 71 machine of Gael Brooks up to 2nd place, now up 9 spots on the evening. Joshua Hanner has found himself moving up through the pack as he's going to get around Carl Henderson in that number 28 machine. He's going to promote himself to the 2nd position as he gets a little wide off of 4, holds onto it, and he's going to remain in that last podium spot for now. Josh Laston this time, he's going to come in and make his pit stop. Nate Warren as well. Making sure that they get onto and off of pit road calmly without speeding or speeding on entry or doing anything too crazy there, as we're going to pick back up with our leader of Sebastian Marin working on the backstretch now of lap number 74, excuse me, almost said 71 there. Maybe I was thinking of the 71 machine of Gael Brooks, who's in 2nd place right now. We'll call it that. So 75 laps now working on, as Maxwell Caldwell and James Ledford are going to make their way onto pit road here. Pretty much everyone obviously so far taking 4 tires and fuel. Right now, of the drivers who have pit, Ryan Kelly is your leader of that group. The number 25 machine of Kevin Freese, though, right behind him, both on fresh tires, about a lap apart. So if it cycles out, you'd expect Ryan to get back to the lead, though. Obviously, the 25 machine of Kevin Freese is going to try and have something to say about that, as he has had some great short run pace throughout the season so far, and they're going to work underneath the number 2 machine of Chris Piscini very easily, as about a 50 lap gap or so in the tires of the 2 machine versus the 13 and the 25. And this time by, actually, we're going to have Sebastian Marin. He's actually already made his pit stop. He's already coming out of the pits. Gael Brooks coming in this time by in that number 71 machine, pitting from what is now, I believe it was the 2nd position. Actually, he might have even, Gael might have actually got a lap led there, as the 2 machine a little wide on pit road, but he makes his way in. Teammate Carl Henderson just behind him as well. That's going to inherit the lead to Brandon Bernhardt, as he is going to try and see what he can do to stay out late here on this pit cycle. Brandon is the only one who has not pitted now at this point under green flag conditions over halfway through this race. So Joshua Hanner and Carl Henderson in that last time by. Brandon Bernhardt's going to be in this time by. So Ryan Kelly, he's going to have to catch all the way back up around to Brandon Bernhardt here, as he is still behind Brandon, as Brandon's still making his service on pit road. Should fairly easily re-inherit that lead back to Ryan Kelly here, but you mentioned he's got a mirror full of that 25 machine of Kevin Freese, so really at this point they're just trying to manage how much tire they can to see who is going to push too hard and who's going to save just amount of tire to race around to the win tonight. As we close in on the final third mark of this race, working on lap number 80 right now. Ryan Kelly holds a 0.3 of a second advantage over Kevin Freese after pit cycle, so Kevin had the lead advantage over Ryan Kelly as they came into pit road, but I believe it was Ryan Kelly who did the undercut move there as he came in on lap number 68, and Kevin Freese coming in answering the call 2 laps later on lap 70. So Kevin has 2 laps less on his tires now, as they're about 10 laps old at this point. So we'll see how he manages those again to the number 13 machine, who is cooking off some of his own laps led for the evening. Sebastian Marin now finds himself in third position, about 6.5 seconds back as he makes his way down the front stretch, and Brian Wang promotes himself back up to the 4th position. So he was seemed like he might have been a little off pace with some damage there, but he may have taken his fast repair this last time by. Definitely had a great time getting in and out of his pit stall. Was actually the fastest driver between the pit road speed limit lines, so making up some time there for Brian Wang, getting right back in the mix now in the top 5 once again. That 05 machine up 10 spots on the evening. Going to continue our way through the field is Chris Piscini there, more than likely also taking his fast repair. He is up to 5th place, up 7 spots on the evening. Kyle Brooks, though, now knocking on the door of the top 5 once again, and he's going to pull to the inside in that number 71 DeWalt machine, try to make something happen on the inside lane, and Chris is going to give him the spot and let him truck on through. So promote Kyle Brooks back to the top 5. Chris Piscini still up 6 spots himself in 6th place. Gael up 6 spots in 5th place. So it worked out fairly well here for Austin Call, as now he's actually a little sideways, but he's back up to the 7th spot there, as he took the earliest pit cycle by about 20 laps earlier than anybody else in the field. So he's going to have some older tires to try and manage here, as we see him sliding a little bit off of the corners, but working fairly well so far on that pit strategy after getting caught up in some of the early action, unfortunately. And he is going to be doing what he can to try and hold on to that Tide Rider. We'll see. Maybe he's, I don't know if he would try to do a second pit stop or not to try to get tires, but with this later stages of the race, I don't think that would be advantageous. But definitely about to maybe lose a spot here to the 94 machine of Maxwell Caldwell, so promote Maxwell up to the 7th position, and Joshua Hanner should be able to make some work of him on the front stretch here, as he's going to pull low in that number 2 yellow Kodak machine, trying to get around the 64 as well. And since we've gone through most of the field already, let's just continue with it. We got Carl Henderson here up 3 spots in the 10th place in that number 28. Again, Texas will have him roll back. Classic paint scheme for Robert Yates Racing. Josh Lassen here working in the 09 machine, spot number 11, with Brandon Bernhardt just behind him in 12th. We've got a lap car of Nate Warren up there in the mix as well. Nate is 1 lap down right now. He is in the 14th and final position on the field right now. And then we've also got James Ledford here in the lucky number 13 position in that gray Ghost Nationwide Dale Jr. throwback. That'll pretty much do it for the field. We'll bring it back as we got Kevin Freese up at the front of the field. Let's see if we can actually take it back and see if we can see where he was able to pass Ryan Kelly. And we'll pull that replay up here for you. See there, makes the pass into turn number 1. Ryan's going to give him the spot there. Trying to fight back a little bit on the outside lane there, running that second lane. Kevin has 2 laps fresher tires, and sometimes that's all the difference you need, though we have seen a lot of pace in the short run from the 25 machine of Kevin Freese, so we'll jump back live now and update you on that gap, as it looks like actually we've got a caution on the speedway. We'll have to take you back to that action, trying to get you a replay of how that pass for the lead happened. We had a yellow come out, and it looks like it is Austin Call battling with a loose race car. Unfortunately, part of the yellow, it seems, and we'll get you a replay of that. See if we can pick the right car, though, this time. We got Austin Call here, 64 machine off of turn number 2, and definitely still continuing to battle that very loose condition. Overcorrects the car, unfortunately. Not going to make any contact with anyone else, which is good. And he's not even going to make contact with the outside wall, but you see the yellow lights there fly on the speedway, and we've got our 4th caution of the night, as we're going to see who is making their way onto pit road. '25, the 13, the 23, all 05, trying to fake it out just a little bit there, but he stays on pit road. And we'll see, looks like actually Carl Henderson electing not to come down pit road, trying to grab a little bit more track position for himself. Brandon Bernhardt and Josh Laston as well. As you see, Nate Warren there grabbing the lucky dog position there, getting his lap back in that number 99 machine. Get up Nate Warren. And off of pit road first. And we'll see who gets it here. As the 13 and the 25 machine coming off at about the same time, and it looks like the 25 machine is going to get ahead of Ryan Kelly, followed by Sebastian Marin and Brian Wang in the 05. And we will actually jump forward just a little bit here, because those happened just a few moments ago. And looks like Kevin Freese actually coming back down pit road again. Or actually electing to, looks like he might have actually been speeding on pit road there. He's tail end of the longest line, so we can only assume in the booth without knowing the in-race chatter what happened. But it looks like the 25 machine got caught speeding either on entry or somewhere through the middle of pit road, or perhaps even on exit. But 25 machine, after having a very solid night all night long, is going to have to try and battle his way back up through the field on fresh tires. Carl Henderson is going to be your leader again. The first 3 cars here, the 28, the 81, and the 09, electing to stay out here. Thinking they're having a feeling that there's going to be more cautions, as we rattled off 3 cautions in about 6 laps or so. Almost back to back to back, went green flag and then went yellow right away, with really only some yellow flag laps in between those, or some some pacing laps between those, I should say. Pace car still has its lights on, which means we are not going green this time by. So seeing that it's only me in the booth, I'm going to take a break and rest the voice, and we'll be back in just a moment for an exciting, should be about a 20-lap battle to the end here on Green White Checker TV. And we see the pace car is off, and Carl Henderson's going to go right away, getting to the gas very quickly as the pace car gets off of the field onto pit road, and the 28 machine going to lead us back to action here. 81 machine of Brandon Bernhardt looking also not to pit, so they've got about 15 to 20 lap old tires here at the front of the pack, and Ryan Kelly and Sebastian Marin are going to try and do what they can to get around these leaders as fast as possible. But so far hanging on is the number 28 machine and the number 81 machine, as Brandon Bernhardt's going to try and stick a nose in there, trying to be side by side with the 28 machine. Brandon's going to see what he can do to try and lead a lap here, as we're almost going to come off the corner 3 wide. It almost for a second looked like it. The 81 machine up high, working on the 28, and almost 4 wide now as we come off the corner. They think better of it. They're still 2 wide as Brandon Bernhardt is going to slide it in there on the outside. He's going to get that lap led, and he is going to take over that top spot for only a second, as the 23 machine of Sebastian Marin is now battling to his inside. Sebastian's going to try and do what he can to lead this lap this time by on those fresher tires. Sticks it in on the bottom. And I think we're going to have our third leader in 3 laps there, as Brandon's still fighting hard on the outside. Sebastian's going to get that lap led, but the 81 still fighting hard on the outside lane. The 13 of Ryan Kelly there trying to see what he can do to get in line and set up a freight train around Brandon Bernhardt, as Brandon gets clear for a second there. Brandon continuing to run that very high lane as the 13 machine sticks it on the inside. Brandon's going to give the spot to the number 13, as the 05 machine is now hot on his tail for the top 3 as well. Brian Wang, a great recovery so far. Looks like he finally was able to take that fast repair and get rid of all that damage that he had in that number 05 machine, as he is moving back up towards the front of this pack, currently in 3rd place. And someone we haven't kept our eyes on enough yet through this restart has been the 25 machine of Kevin Freese. He's already back up to 6th after starting at the tail end of the longest line on this restart. Believe that was from a penalty under yellow flag conditions. So he is working as hard as he can to get back up through this field, and now he's up to the 4th spot as he gets around Brandon Bernhardt on the inside. Brandon really nothing much but a sit and duck with those older tires, hoping maybe for a caution to try and get back up through this field, but he's going to unfortunately keep sliding back, as well as Carl Henderson, as Carl Henderson is now back to 10th place and about to fall back behind Guy Brooks as well. But at the front of the pack, it's Sebastian Marin who is leading the field in that number 23 machine, grabbing that on the restart there. 17 laps to go. He's going to see what he can do to pick up his first win of the season. Before that last yellow, there was about a 7-second gap between our leaders of Kevin Freese and Ryan Kelly, and back to 3rd place Sebastian Marin. Now that script has flipped. Sebastian Marin is back in the lead, clicking off what should be, I would assume, some of the most laps led for those extra bonus points in the championship, as he now leads Ryan Kelly, Brian Wang, and Kevin Freese. There's a little bit of a shakeup of the top 3 there, as Kevin Freese is now back up to 4th even, but Sebastian Marin running 3rd on that long green flag run towards the middle sections of this race. Now finds himself there in that 1st spot, as we mentioned, about a 0.6 of a second gap back to Ryan Kelly, Ryan's had a little bit of a better, longer run car so far on this season, but we're going to see what he can do in these final 20 laps or so to make something happen and try to get a race win, as it looks like he might have gotten the wall there off of turn number 2, maybe just a second. Back to about 0.6 of a second there still for Ryan Kelly. Another 0.4 back to Brian Wang, and another 0.3 back to Kevin Freese. That's about 1.1 seconds between your top 4 right now, so still a lot of time left for those drivers to make up some spots, and Maxwell Caldwell is putting himself back up into the top 5 now. He's up 2 spots on the night as it sits right now, about 2 seconds off of the race lead. He's not out of it yet with 13 to go. Joshua Hanner back up in the 7th or 6th position after starting in 6th, and Austin Call, after a pretty solid early run, he's got fresh tires and bringing out that last yellow there. He's trying to make up for that and make his way back up to the field, now up to the 7th position. Kyle Brooks settling in here in 8th place. After that caution and pit cycle, Brandon Bernhardt falling back to 9th place, and Carl Henderson as well falling back to the last car inside the top 10, with James Ledford just behind him. And we bring you back to that gap for the lead. Still about 6/10 here with 11 laps to go as they cross the stripe that time by. Sebastian Marin continuing to lead this race from the pole. Back at the front of the pack. Led a good majority of the first part of the race as we went and rattled off 3 very quick cautions in quick succession. Had a bit of a slower pit cycle there towards the middle of that long green flag stint in the middle section of the race. As it looks like yellow flag is back out again on the speedway with 10 laps to go. I don't have any information on what happened, so we might as well just cut to the replay and see what's up. Trying to get an idea of what happened here. Oh, we can see some action there out of turn 3 in the Skycam. Looks like maybe the 2 machine there of Joshua Hanner maybe involved. Not sure, but Maxwell Caldwell definitely involved. Let's go see if we can pull that up and see what happened there for the number 94 machine as he slides up in front of the 2. Who looks like the 2 has a pretty solid run on the evening, and Maxwell in a opposite position of how some of the first couple cautions came out this night, as Maxwell was behind the driver who slid through the front stretch in the infield, and now he's getting to experience being the car that gets slid around himself. Not entirely sure if there was any contact there from the 2 machine, but we'll take it back to that camera at the point of caution if we can. And it looks like, yeah, maybe a little bit of contact there from the 2, but with how light these cars can be in the rear coming off of the corner, especially at a short track like this with a decent amount of banking, you know, it's so hard to get that power down and back onto the track surface to get a good run off the corner. And unfortunately for now, the 94 machine looks like he was getting turned off of the nose of the 2 of Joshua Hanner, unfortunately. So we're gonna take you through to pit cycle here and see where everyone shook out as far as that goes. Looked like Brian Wang entered pit lane from 3rd place. So he was the first car to take tires. Actually, no. Yeah, he did not. Okay, no, he did not enter pit lane, but for some reason on my screen it showed that he did. But taking it back to it, I guess the first car actually looking like first car that came down pit road, understandably so, it would be the 81 machine of Brandon Bernhardt, the 28 machine of Carl Henderson, the 94 of Maxwell Caldwell in, as well as the 09 of Josh Lassen, the 99 of Nate Warren. So those guys that were sliding back on that split strategy, trying to make their way back up through the field. So they're going to have a little bit of a tire advantage for the rest of this race, as we'll jump back live here now and catch back up to the running order. So Sebastian Marin, Ryan Kelly, and Brian Wang. Brian Wang did not pit there, though with the way he tried to attempt to, it showed on my system that he did. But that was false, as number 23 machine of Sebastian Marin is going to continue to lead from that pole position, and looks like now this time by the 05 of Brian Wang is maybe going to pit. We'll see if it, no, he's just having some fun here. My system keeps telling me that he's trying to enter pit lane the way he's having some fun, I guess is the best way to put it. But Sebastian Marin there, he's our race leader, also having some fun on pace laps. So Sebastian Marin, Ryan Kelly, Brian Wang, Kevin Freese, Joshua Hanner should be your top 5 here on this restart. Austin Call is going to be in the 6th position with Gael Brooks, James Ledford, Brandon Bernhardt, and Maxwell Caldwell, your top 10. Carl Henderson, Josh Lassen, Nate Warren, and Chris Piscini rounding out the back of the field. And it does look like Chris has retired on the evening. So Chris is going to be out of this one for the rest of the night, I believe, as we approach the 1 hour mark in the race session here. Lining them up double file for this restart. Should be getting the signal from the pace car that it'll be 1 to go. As he crosses the stripe this time by, lights should turn off. And we'll be ready with 5 laps to go. Not quite a green-white checkered, but we'll be going green-white checkered, I believe, here with 4 laps to go on the restart. So going to be a battle to the finish. We'll see if there's any cautions that we may still have in this field. Not going to be a green-white checkered like I just mentioned, so that means that there are still 3 eligible attempts at that green-white checkered if there were another caution to fall. So Sebastian Marin's going to do what he can to hold out the field for these final 4 laps to start from the pole and finish in P1, as he is still looking for his first win on the season. Everybody else in the top 4 has claimed their first win, except for that 23 of Sebastian Marin. He's got to hold off 3 race winners to do so, and he's going to have 4 laps to do it as the pace car ducks down onto pit road. Number 23 machine is in command of the race, and he gets a great restart. He's going to be clear of the 13 machine up to the top lane before the start-finish line and into turn number 1. The 05 of Brian Wang gets going very well behind the 23 machine, and he's going to be inside of the 13 of Ryan Kelly for a moment there as they head down the back straightaway. Now even with the 25 machine, it looked like as Ryan Kelly, the 05 of Brian Wang, even with the 25 machine of Kevin Freese there, as Ryan Kelly makes his spot up into the 2nd spot. So he is up 2 spots on the night after starting 4th. Kevin Freese now promoted to the 3rd position. Brian Wang back to 4th. Single file from the front of this pack as the 25 machine is going to try and stick his nose in on the inside there of the 13 of Ryan Kelly, and he's going to be there at least side by side through the front stretch, and Ryan with the tow from the high line is going to have a lot of momentum down the backstretch. The 25 machine, though, still sticks it in there side by side, gets to the door, but not quite able to make it stick as the 13 of Ryan Kelly continuing to battle for that 2nd spot and holding him off. Meanwhile, the 23 machine of Sebastian Marin continues to check out here. 0.5 of a second advantage over the leaders as the white flag will fly. This will be the last lap of the race. No more cautions after the white as Maxwell Caldwell sends it into turn number 1, starts to slides up across the nose of the 05 of Brian Wang, and he's going to promote himself into the 4th position there, but it looks like at the front of the pack, it is still Sebastian Marin coming out of turn number 4. He's going to do it. The 4th race of the season, finally gets his victory in the Thursday Night Gen 4 Series. A nice big slider into turn number 1 in celebration for that 23 machine. Coming around to the front of the speedway is the number 23 machine of Sebastian Marin. Victorious for the first time here in the 2nd season on Thursday nights in Area 51 for 2023. And it is the 23 car making his way to victory lane, burning it down for the fans on the front straightaway here at Iowa Speedway. We'll take you through here, see what we can get for some driver interviews as we get some cameras pulled up here preemptively, trying to get ready for that. All right, so we are going to have interviews with our top 3 here. So that will be the first one that you see on screen, the number 25 machine of Kevin Freese, as he picks up another top 5 on the season. Manages to come home in the third spot there. Definitely a bit of a different story between before and after that final caution there, Kevin. Definitely seemed like
Yeah.
you were in a good position there to try and win this thing. But yellow comes out and maybe not quite meant to be. Take us through how that played out for you tonight.
Yeah, it was I love this track. This track is so much fun to drive because it's just all getting in a rhythm and not over driving it. And I think I was doing a good job. I was just watching my interval to the guys behind me. Every time I'd see them close in, I'd try and push just a little bit harder. And then that caution came out and I sped on pit road. And that was then it was scramble mode after that. I mean I'll take a P3 after making a mistake like that. That was not my brightest moment there, but it was still it was a fun ending. I thought I had Ryan the one time, and then he was a little lower than I thought he would be on the exit, so I had to get out of it because I thought we would just roll all the way to the top, but he did the right thing and kept me down there. And yeah, I just spun the tires a little bit and couldn't regroup in enough time. Just tried to make the bottom work on the last lap, but the tire spin out of turn 4 is a bit of a handful. I was just holding on.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of that. Couple guys maybe with some help going around at a couple times there. It looked like about 3 times we had someone getting loose off the nose of someone else on the front stretch there. But yeah, so you confirmed that for us. That was my second question for you, if that was indeed a pit road speeding penalty. But obviously able to battle back from that. I mean, it seems like for the most part is a bit of an up and down race. I mean, so maybe take us through how you approach that final restart there, knowing there's only so many laps left, and you have to kind of maybe attack the race differently and try to make your way back up through that field to try and get back to where you were.
Yeah, on that second to last restart, I was just looking for any clear pavement, basically, to because I knew like where I could push. I had learned that in the beginning of the race, so and I was even on older tires. The car was weird, and like your tires would wear, but you didn't really lose much grip as the run went on. It was more like penalizing you if you really overdrove the corner. But it was still manageable. But then, yeah, you're just looking for any pavement. Everybody was. I wanted to go to the high line because the high line off of 4, not in 1 and 2. 1 and 2 is awful, but in 3 and 4, you get such a big run down the front stretch. But everybody was running up there, so I'm like, all right, I'll just chill here at the bottom. And I was picking them off slowly, just not fast enough for what I needed to do there. But it was still a really really fun race. It's unfortunate to make those mistakes, but sometimes it makes it a lot more fun where you get to go back and then try and pass cars all the way back to the front.
Yeah, definitely seems. I mean, it looked like a lot of fun watching you guys. I know I've never really driven much of the Gen 4 series car, but I have driven here at Iowa, and I have driven the ARCA car. I know how much the ARCA car likes to, where you can hang it out on the right rear quite a bit, and I know how much
Yep.
it is difficult at Iowa to get back to the throttle. So yes, maybe I guess take us through some of that management and what it takes to not burn those tires off early on, because it seems like it's so easy to do in this car at this track for sure.
Yeah, all throughout the first run and after that green flag pit stop, I was just trying to roll the corner as much as I could, getting out of it early and just roll through it and ease back into the throttle. Like I wasn't going 100% throttle until the car was back to straight, and you're not losing any time doing that. It's just saving a little bit of the tire and just keeping it you're not then catching the car all the way down the front stretch or the back stretch, because even the bottom of 1 and 2, when you come off of it, that banking transition likes to sling the car sideways on you. So it was just staying consistent, staying smart, just race the track. Sort of like what they had to do in North Wilkesboro. You know, if you push it too far, you're going to light up your rear tires, and you're going to pay for that in the long run. And that was that's why all I was doing was watching my mirror and watching the relative, just watching. All right, they're closing in. I'm going to push a little bit. all right, it's stabilized. I'm back to saving tire as much as I could.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
it was just a fun race.
Yeah, a lot of fun for sure, especially to watch and a little bit of yellow flag action and split Saturdays at different times. So it made it exciting for us in the booth. And now I know I've asked a few people this, and I don't know if I have asked you this yet this season, but just real quick, where does the nod to the Jimmy Johnson throwback scheme come from?
Huge fan of him. I have always been, and I really hope he has a good run here come Sunday or whenever they run the 600 because that's a really nice looking car that he has for this week. It's a little weird seeing him in an 84, and as long as he never races the Toyota that they're going to run next season, I'm great with it.
Yeah, I know definitely some contention in the Chevy camp for obviously one of the greatest to ever do it and do it in a Chevrolet. To be running Toyota next season might be a little interesting, but cool to see the throwback for Jimmy Jam for you there, and
Yep.
definitely unfortunate to not see you come out on top after what was a really good middle stage of the race there, but want to have you take us through any thanks or shout outs you'd like to give for that third place podium finish tonight.
Yeah, thanks to you for putting on the broadcast, all the admins here, and all the boys who we were racing in the room together with. It was Brian, Nate, and Seabass. We were just having a good time, enjoying this track, and we are all on different strategy. It seemed because Sebastian still had a set of tires laying in the pits, and so did Nate at the end. Nate took them, but yeah, it's just a fun night. This is a lot of fun that they were able to switch to this car, and can't thank them enough for it.
Definitely. Well, looking forward to seeing you back out on track next week, and probably I'm assuming have maybe another interview after we've had quite a few already this season. But
Yeah,
good early start to the season for you, Kevin, and we'll look forward to seeing you out on the track soon.
thank you. I hope everyone enjoys the Memorial Day weekend and honors the vets.
Definitely. Thank you, Kevin, once again. All right, so we've got another driver here in the top three that we're going to pull up now. We got Ryan Kelly in the number 13 machine, coming home second on the night. Another top five for him and another podium placing for this number 13 machine after winning 2 weeks ago and coming home second a week ago at Pocono. Second place, once again, Ryan Kelly to the number 23 machine this time. Take us through how that race went for you. It looked like in the middle stages there, you were trying to do a little bit of an undercut, come in first out of any of the drivers on the long run. Was that the strategy that you thought was going to get you the race win tonight?
Yeah, that's what we went for. Wasn't didn't have first place pace on the long run, so tried to undercut them there. Yeah, they were quick tonight, so I'm definitely happy with a second place finish.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like you had a pretty strong car there. I mean, it seemed like for the most part it was going to be between you and Kevin Freese towards the end of it. Obviously, still would have been maybe potentially the result you ended up getting anyway, but I'm assuming you probably would have liked to see that go green to try and battle back to Kevin Freese, knowing that you've had maybe a little bit better of a long run pace throughout the season.
Yeah, definitely. It was quite a few cautions tonight. It was difficult track and car combo, so very loose tonight. And I think if I just maybe would have moved up to the top earlier in the race, I maybe could have got to Kevin.
Yeah, we talked to Kevin already after he finished third, and he kind of mentioned that. And I know the ARCA Series car and this track definitely lend to hanging it out pretty loose at times. So, why don't you take us through your experience with that loose condition and how fun it is to drive in these cars?
Yeah, it's a blast. I mean, when we were riding around the bottom there, we were definitely hanging on coming out of the corner. That's why I think the top, as the night got longer and the track got colder, I think the top was a little easier on the tires and not sliding around so much. So I think that's where that came into play.
definitely started to make a difference for you. But yeah, it was really cool to see. I was not expecting to see you guys run that high in especially turns 3 and 4. I know that typically maybe the second lane or so is a little more dominant here at Iowa, but was that something that you'd kind of practice throughout the night, or is that just something that you realized, like you said, as the track was cooling down, that there was grip up there to be had?
Yeah, I ran a couple laps up there in practice, but the lights were still not on. It was daytime, so it wasn't as quick as the bottom was, but certainly as the night went on, it just kept moving higher and higher and kept getting faster and faster.
All right, and I've been asking everybody about their paint schemes. I believe this Hot Hues DuPont, that's a nod to Jeff Gordon, is it not, from
Yep.
back in the day? Cool. So where does the inspiration for running the scheme come from?
So this is actually the first diecast car I got. I got it the big ones, the 124s. I got that one sitting on my desk right next to me. So thought it'd be cool to run this scheme as the first diecast I got.
Definitely a cool story. I'm assuming from being a Jeff Gordon fan earlier
Oh
in your
yeah.
days. Yeah, good deal. Well, cool. Well, definitely a very awesome looking paint scheme. I mean, there's definitely a lot of really cool throwbacks. I think that's kind of the nostalgia, right, of running these Gen 4 cars. Really cool to
Oh yeah.
see. But yeah, congratulations on second place. I know you're hoping to maybe have a little bit more, but on the long run and on the short run there at the end, still able to come home P2, which is still a solid night for you. So want to give you a chance to give any thanks and shout outs for that podium placing tonight, Ryan.
Yeah, just America's crew chief, Larry Mack, for being on the box another race. And congrats to Seb on the win. And you up in the booth for putting on the show.
Appreciate that, Ryan, and hope you have a wonderful week as we celebrate Memorial Day weekend this weekend, and hope to see you back on track next week and doing what you do best.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. And that'll bring up our final interview for the evening. As we mentioned, the number 23 machine of Sebastian Marin finally getting the race win on the season. As we'll pull him up here into the broadcast booth. See on the screen doing a little bit of celebration through turns 1 and 2 at the end of the race and burning it down back on the front stretch. But we talked about it last week, what it would take you to get that first win of the season, and here we are this week, the first win of the season for you, Seabass.
Yeah, I finally got it done. I couldn't be there last week. Had a power outage, so fortunately couldn't have made it, but made it tonight, and everything kind of lined up for us, and we finally got that first win of the season.
Definitely. I apologize. Yeah, remembering now Pocono was didn't get to see you out on track, so good to have you back, and hopefully everything is going okay there with the power outage. But yeah, definitely seemed like towards the middle sections of that race had a little bit of maybe a struggle on pit road. Not sure, but it looked like you were about 7 seconds or so behind leaders Kevin Freese and Ryan Kelly at the time. So was a little bit of trouble there on that green flag, the long green flag run, and that pit stop there.
No, before that long run, we did 17 laps under green, and I decided to stay out because we had 3 sets of tires, and I felt like if we got a couple runs and then a couple yellows, then those tires would go bye-bye real quick. So I decided to save a set there. So I was on the back foot that whole long run, and then those last like 15, 20 laps, our pace kind of equalized with Kevin and Ryan. And then after that, I just wanted fresher tires than them, considering how long we still had remaining. So I stayed out about 4 or 5 laps longer. So that's why I came out so far behind, because the undercut that they had was massive. But I was cutting down their deficit. I think it was down to like 3.5 to Kevin when the yellow came out. It would have been real interesting if it went green to the end, if I could have gotten there, because I felt like we were all pretty equal pace, so it was going to be hard to win. So that's why I wanted to run long to see if I could have better tires than them.
Yeah, definitely. And thanks for reminding me of that. I know it seemed like for the most part you were able to kind of hang in there for the early part of the race. You really were the only one on a different pit tire strategy, but it looked like you were able to hang on fairly strong there after not electing to pit in that first yellow.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised, to be honest, how much I was keeping up, considering how much older my tires were. I don't know if it's, I was just a bit more comfortable, or if maybe the track was so cool that the grip came more from tire temperature instead of tire wear on itself. So I really don't know. Of course, I'm glad that's how it's played out, because if not, I would have been a long way off the lead. And then the second to last restart where I took the lead kind of played in our hands with the guys on all the tires staying out. So just got a little lucky there, because I really didn't think I was gonna steal the win there from Kelly, but I think he was trying to be patient, and I kind of took advantage of that because I knew whoever kind of took the lead was gonna win the race.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like they were pretty strong and pretty even for the most part. Pretty much all three of you guys in the top three. But how much joy were you jumping for when it came to that? I believe it was the second to last caution that came out that ended that long green flag run there.
I was a little happy, but at the same time, I was kind of, man, I would have liked how to see how it played out, because again, I feel like I could have gotten by Ryan, but maybe my tires would have been done by that point, so maybe I would have gotten stuck behind Kevin. So yeah, I mean, kind of like both ends of the coin. Like, glad that yellow came out, but at the same time, I kind of didn't want it to come out because I knew I had fresher tires than them since I ran so much longer than they did. So I don't know. It's kind of like 50-50, but I mean, now in hindsight, since I won the race, of course I'm gonna say like, yeah, I'm glad that yellow came out, but
Sure.
I still would have liked to see how it would have played out. It definitely would have been interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Always sucks to see a nice long green flag run be ended like that, though. I mean, from the broadcaster's point of view, we still got to see quite a bit of fun on the final restarts there. But before I let you go, I got to ask. I don't know if I've asked you yet about the paint scheme. Obviously, I know you got a special
hmm
sponsor, but well, a couple special sponsors there, but a little bit of a nod to Jimmy Johnson as well there.
Yeah, I'm a big Jimmy Johnson fan. He's my all-time favorite NASCAR driver. So yeah, that's obviously his 2006 paint scheme, and we just changed the shade of blue to the shade of blue that he ran in 2009 Auto Club. His NASCAR Jimmy Johnson Foundation blue, because I think that's my favorite all-time COT paint scheme, and I love that shade of blue that he had. So yeah, and then the sponsor, obviously, Nexus Esports. I belong to them, so I run with them from time to time. So, uh, yeah, again, it's Johnson Paint. Loved him. He was my favorite. So yeah, definitely happy to at least make that paint scheme, look good out on track.
Yeah, definitely, and a great cause in Extra Life there on the side of the quarter panel as well. So, yeah, really cool to see all of these drivers, all you guys with these wonderful throwback schemes. Definitely a lot of nostalgia in this car, and very happy that we have it here in iRacing. And I mean, we watched you guys battle it all night long. I mean, it seemed like there was. I mean, I know Iowa was a track where you really have to manage, the right rear tire and not slide it. And these cars, you have to do the same. So it had to be a fun battle for you guys to hang it out a little bit, a little loose on the corners.
Yeah, to be honest, like, yeah, it was definitely loose off the exits, but it was the right front that was wearing out, which is why I was kind of experimenting with my lines, because you definitely didn't want to slide the rears and stuff, but the rear wasn't the one that was overheating or wearing. It was the right front, so you kind of wanted to run a line that wouldn't completely destroy the right front, but obviously you don't want to slide the rear end too much. So it was a nice challenge, but I kind of wish the car drove a bit more off the right rear instead of the right front. But it's what we got. So
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's a lot of fun to see you guys do battle on these or in this Thursday night series, and congratulations once again to getting your first victory of the season. I want to give you now a chance to give any thanks and shout outs for that victory tonight, Sebastian.
yeah, I'll give a shout out to the Boondlockers, Brian, Kevin, Nate Warren ran with us there for a bit. And shout out to you for putting on this broadcast. I know everybody down the channel is probably watching my interview right now, laughing their ass off. Uh, and shout out to Area 51 for putting on this league. It's nice to have a league that
is willing to give these cars a shot. So definitely happy to be driving these things, and I can't wait for the remainder of the season.
Definitely going to be a fun season to pay attention to, and we wish you the best of luck going forward, Sebastian.
Thank you.
All right, that will do it for our driver interviews for the evening. And we'll get the race grid or the results pulled up here in just a second. Take you through the rest of the field. As we try to find that graphic for you here. See if we can pull up those results. There we go. Hey, look at that. Yeah, nice results page here. And through the field, we had Sebastian Marin coming out on top after qualifying P1, finishing in the first position, getting his first win of this season. Ryan Kelly going to pull together a couple string of top 2 finishes for him, as he was first, second, and second now 3 weeks in a row. A really solid early start to the season for Ryan, and Kevin Freese, another top 3 on the season as well, after collecting the win last week at Pocono for Team Bootnaka. Going to be a good solid run for those 3, and we saw Maxwell Caldwell had a bit of an up and down night, involved in at least 3 different yellows at different times, and had a pretty aggressive charge towards the end of the race to try and get back up through the field on fresh tires. Saw that move into turn number 1 on the final lap to take over the spot from Brian Wang, and he's going to come home in 4th place. Brandon Bernhardt, also on fresh tires, finds his way back up to the top 5 after being involved, I believe, and that was that first caution of the race, and then stayed out on the second to last yellow to try and gain track position. Able to pit on the last yellow to get those fresh tires with Maxwell Caldwell, and I think I can't remember now if Brian Wang did or did not come down. I think actually no, Brian Wang stayed out. That's right. So he had the same lap tires as the rest of the top 3. So Brian Wang still a pretty solid night. Again, electing not to qualify. I'm pretty sure he passed the most amount of cars, not just at the end of the race, but in total. He was up to, I think, 2nd or 3rd at one point after starting in the 14th spot on the night. Came up through the field, went back through the field, came up through the field, went back to the back of the field, and then finished in the 6th spot. So ending the night up 8 spots, the highest climber for Brian. Eventful night for him, as he finished just ahead of Joshua Hanner in that number 2 machine for closed circuit racing. Pretty solid effort for Joshua tonight, down 1 spot, but still solidly in the top 10. Carl Henderson had some fresh tires at the end of that race as well. He finished up 5 spots on the evening, finishing 8th inside the top 10, also for closed circuit racing. Gael Brooks saw himself all the way as high up as 1st and 2nd during those long green flag cycles, but spent a lot of time in 4th and 5th and top 5 there during that cycle as well. But he's going to come home in the 9th position this evening, 2 spots up from his qualifying start of 11th. Josh Laston rounds out the top 10 for the evening, again for closed circuit racing in that number 09 machine. Austin Call in that number 64, who had some issues multiple times throughout the race, unfortunately causing being part of the cause for caution at least twice there for ambush racing, finishing just 2.4 seconds off of the lead. Nate Warren in the Ryan Newman throwback in that number 99 machine comes home in P12. And we saw some issues for James Ledford at different points in the race as well, as he comes home 13th on the evening. And then Chris Bassini, our only retiree from the evening, finishes 14th in our final spot of the evening, again after multiple issues for him as well. So had lots of yellows tonight. Seems like most of the field at different times involved in those incidents. I mean, for the most part, because of the caution, we saw a lot of really good racing action. And would have loved to see the end of that race go green flag to see where the 13 and the 25 were going to end up. But we got to see a great battle between Sebastian Marin, Ryan Kelly, and Kevin Freese at the end. Who knows if there was a couple more laps, maybe we could have seen Maxwell Caldwell and Brandon Bernhardt get up to the front. But it was an exciting race to be able to call, to have the opportunity. Always very thankful to Gael Brooks and Jim Brooks and all the other admins of this series for putting this show on, and especially for Gael for giving me the chance to be the voice of Green White Checkered TV on Thursday nights. Riding solo this week, but we should be back with a second chair, I would think, again next week. So hopefully you don't have to hear me babble on too much by myself, but appreciate the opportunity to be here and always have a blast being a part of this. So that will do it for the fourth round of the season. Next week, we're entering the kind of the middle third of the season, as we are going to be at Chicagoland next week on June 1st. Talladega in 2 weeks, Watkins Glen, then Atlanta to finish out the regular season on June 22nd. We're going to take a couple weeks off there for the 4th of July and another break as we're going to get ready for the playoff. First week, or the first race of that playoff will be July 13th at Las Vegas with Auto Club, Nashville Superspeedway, and Homestead back to back those 4 weeks for our playoff drivers. So halfway through the regular season here with race 4 in the books, like we mentioned. Make sure you come back next week. On Thursday nights at Chicagoland, we'll be racing another 1.5 mile track action. But for that, we've got the Memorial Day weekend, a great time to get out and celebrate all of those and pay homage to everyone who has made the ultimate sacrifice for this country, and definitely make sure we honor them and think about them for keeping us safe and all that they have done for us. So a great weekend, a nice holiday. Hopefully everyone can take some time to remember this weekend and enjoy what looks like to be some great weather all across the United States. For myself, Boomer Logan, that'll do it here on Thursday nights for Green White Checker TV. Don't forget, we've got action on Sundays as well. I believe this Sunday we are going to be at Talladega Super Speedway. Excuse me, I think actually, let me double check the schedule. I think we're actually off this week. So we've got a couple off weeks on Sunday night, so I apologize for that. So regardless, please come back next Thursday as we will be hanging out at Chicagoland Speedway, like we mentioned, for the next race on Thursday night. Looks like the Sunday series is going to be taking their break for the Memorial Day holiday this week, and they'll be back on May 14th May 14th has already happened. They'll be back on June 4th for more action there on Sunday nights. But we appreciate all of our loyal fans and listeners and race car drivers here on Thursday nights. I've said enough for tonight, and appreciate you all. Hope you all have, again, a great week, a great Memorial Day holiday weekend. Take care, and we'll see you next time.